I think there's a kind of silence that comes before the truth crashes through your life. Not peaceful, not empty, just loaded. Like everything in the air is holding its breath. That's what it felt like for me the night I slipped that recorder into her car. Not out of paranoia. Not because I needed proof. I already knew. The kind of knowing that doesn't come from evidence or confessions, it crawls into your bones and sits there, waiting. She wasn't careful anymore. That was the strangest part. Like she'd stopped pretending to care if I noticed. She changed her perfume, something sweeter, something younger. She stopped doing little things, no more checking in when she was out late, no more casual kisses on her way out the door. But what really got me? The playlist in her car. She used to drive around with old indie bands we both liked, stuff from college. Suddenly it was all heavy bass, fast tempo, songs I'd never even heard of. Like someone else was curating her mood. Like she was being tuned by someone who wasn't me. I didn't ask her about it. What was I supposed to say? Hey, I noticed your music tastes changed. Who's playing DJ while you're getting emotionally distant? So I stayed quiet, watched and waited. She started getting text messages in the middle of the night. Not the sound of vibration. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Always muted. Sometimes she'd get up and check it in the bathroom. Once I followed her. She had the water running, phone angled away. Didn't even flinch when I walked in. Just smiled like I was the idiot for noticing. 2 weeks ago, she said she had a client meeting an hour away. Left around 5. Didn't come home till past midnight. She didn't smell like work. She didn't look tired. And her hair, she'd redone her hair. Not like a regular refresh. Styled. Full-blown curled and teased like she was going to a dinner party. She walked in and tossed her coat on the chair like she didn't even see me sitting there. "You're still up?" she asked, like I was the weird one. I smiled. "Yeah. Just couldn't sleep." She didn't ask why. That's the night I decided to act. The recorder I bought looked like a key fob. Sleek, black, nothing that would catch the eye. I wrapped it in a napkin, slid it between the lining of the center console in her car. She wouldn't notice it unless she gutted the thing. It was voice-activated. 10 hours of recording time. I felt sick doing it. Not because it was wrong, but because I already knew it was going to work. This wasn't some Hail Mary. This was surgery. She left again 3 days later. Said she had another off-site consultation. Wore a dress I hadn't seen before. Shorter than usual. Tighter. I didn't say anything. Just told her to drive safe. She didn't kiss me goodbye. When she got back, I didn't check the recorder immediately. I waited until she was asleep. It was almost 3 a.m. and she had passed out fast, like someone with nothing on their conscience or someone who had burned out whatever guilt they used to have. I went out to her car in the garage, pulled the recorder, brought it into my office. I didn't even get through the first hour. She was laughing. Not her usual laugh. This one was sharper, more breathy, like she was trying to seduce the air itself. Then a voicemail. Low, close. She told him she missed him. Told him I was getting too suspicious. Said she hated having to pretend to love someone who bored her half to death. And then the part that made my hands go cold. "Don't worry," she said, "he doesn't matter. He still thinks I'm in love with him. He actually believes I'm working late tonight. It's almost too easy." Too easy. The way she said it, like I was a game. Like my life was her little private joke. I shut the recording off right there. I didn't need more. I had enough. But I wasn't ready for what came next. Because the next day, her mother came to the house uninvited. And she said something that didn't just change everything I thought I knew about my wife. It made me question if I'd ever really known her at all. That's coming next. And believe me, nothing can prepare you for what she said. She showed up around noon, completely unannounced. I heard the knock while I was still sitting in the kitchen, eyes locked on a half-drunk mug of coffee that had long gone cold. I hadn't slept. The recorder sat on the table beside me like a loaded gun, still untouched since I'd paused it the night before, as if playing it again might cause something else in my life to detonate. When I opened the door and saw her mom, her actual mother, I didn't even have the energy to fake a greeting. She wasn't the type to visit. Ever. She hated dropping in, and was always one of those people who called ahead, even if it was just to return a borrowed casserole dish. So her being there, standing stiff with her coat barely buttoned and her eyes scanning my face like she was measuring something off script. Completely off. "I need to talk to you," she said. "No, hello. No, how are you?" She just walked past me like she still lived there, like I was the one intruding. I followed her into the living room and stood behind the couch while she lowered herself down like her bones weighed more than they used to. She looked older than I remembered, sharper, tired, like her face had been stuck in one expression too long. "I know what she's doing," she said, staring straight ahead. I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. My silence was enough. She nodded slowly like she was confirming something she'd suspected but hadn't wanted to face. "She's been like this since she was a teenager," she said. "Never satisfied. Always looking for someone new to lie to." I sat down across from her. Still said nothing. "What do you say to that? When your wife's mother walks into your house and starts talking like you're already at the funeral of your marriage." "She used to sneak out of the house," she continued. "Used to steal my keys, my cards. When I confronted her, she'd cry, tell me she was sorry. But it wasn't real. She just knows how to perform regret. It's a talent. Like acting. She doesn't feel guilt the way normal people do." I finally found my voice. "Why are you telling me this now?" She met my eyes, and what I saw there wasn't just sadness, it was fear. "Because she's going to turn it on you. That's what she does. When she's cornered, she burns the ground around her. You need to be ready." And that's when she told me the secret. Something I never saw coming. Something that hit so hard I actually stood up and walked out of the room because I needed a second to remember how to breathe. "I don't think she married you because she loved you," she said calmly. "I think she married you because of your brother." I turned back around like I'd just been punched in the jaw. "What the hell are you talking about?" She hesitated. "They were close. Closer than they told you. Before you. Before everything." "She never told you, did she?" "She hadn't. I have a brother, Michael. We're close. We used to do everything together. But years back, he moved out west for work. Settled down. We didn't talk every day, but we were always good. He was the golden child growing up. Everyone loved him. He was charming, brilliant. And now I had to sit there while my wife's mother told me she used to be obsessed with him. That they had a thing, a brief, intense, whatever you want to call it, before I ever came into the picture. And when he didn't take her seriously, she added, she set her eyes on you. You were the consolation prize. That's what she called you once. I heard it. The room felt too small. Like the air had thickened around me. She didn't have to say it, but I felt it in my gut. I'd been living a lie, and not just recently. From the start. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to storm into the bedroom and drag her out by the truth. But I didn't. Instead, I walked into my office, hit play on the recorder again, and this time I let it run. And I listened. Every second. Every filthy, manipulative word. I didn't confront her that night. I didn't say a word when she came home and asked if I wanted Thai or pizza. Like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't just ripped the foundation out from under my life. But I was planning something. Something careful. And I wasn't going to let her know until it was too late to lie her way out of it. You want confrontation? She was in the kitchen the next night, pouring herself a glass of wine like she hadn't spent the afternoon whispering about me to some faceless man in her car. She wore that same casual indifference she always did lately. Like being in the same room with me was just an inconvenient part of her schedule. I watched her from the hallway, quiet, still. She didn't know I was there. She was humming to herself, swaying slightly to a song only she could hear. There was a moment, just a flash, where I saw who she used to be. Before the cracks. Before I knew the truth. But it passed quickly. All I could see now was the lie, standing there in my kitchen, drinking my wine, pretending to be my wife. I stepped in. She looked up, a little startled, but smiled. Hey, you want some? No, I said. My voice was steady. Too steady. She raised an eyebrow, sensing something was off. You good? That's when I dropped it. Not the recorder. Not a dramatic reveal. Just 5 words, spoken like a slow-burning fuse. I listened to the tape. There was a silence that followed, different from all the others before. This one was sharp. Her hand froze midair, glass still raised. For half a second, something flickered across her face. Shock? Guilt? It was gone before I could pin it down. She set the glass down carefully. Okay, she said. Just that. Not what tape, not I don't know what you're talking about. Just okay. That was when I knew she was going to lie straight to my face, even with the evidence burning between us. She wasn't going to beg. She wasn't going to explain. She was going to perform. I guess there's no point pretending, she said. Her voice was calm, detached, like she was reading from a script she'd rehearsed before. You guess? I asked. That's all you've got? She leaned against the counter like we were having a casual debate, not the collapse of our entire relationship. You weren't happy either. Don't act like you were. You've been sleepwalking through this marriage for the past year. That caught me off guard. The way she turned it, twisted it, deflecting like I'd somehow driven her into another man's arms. Classic. I wasn't cheating on you, I said. You were cheating on me. Don't you dare spin this like I'm the problem. She rolled her eyes. Actually rolled her eyes. You're being dramatic. Dramatic. She called me dramatic. I moved closer. Not threatening. Just close enough for her to see that I wasn't going to let her dance around this. I heard everything. The calls. The things you said about me. You think I'm stupid? You said that out loud. That I'm too stupid to figure it out. Her lips twitched, and for a moment, I thought she might try to apologize. But no, that would have required shame. Instead, she smiled. A cruel, smug little smile that sent a pulse of fury through my chest. You were never supposed to hear that, she said. But fine, since we're being honest. Yeah, I said it. You are easy to fool. You believe what you want to believe. That's your problem. I stood there, jaw clenched, heart hammering. But she wasn't done. Oh no. She stepped closer and dropped her voice like she was sharing some intimate confession. You know what really kept me around? Convenience. You made things comfortable. But excitement. She scoffed. That had to come from somewhere else. And you're lucky it didn't get messier than it did. Messier? She was talking about betrayal like it was a minor spill on a white carpet. Something you just clean up and move on from. And in that moment, something inside me flipped. Not rage. Not pain. Just clarity. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to throw things. I was going to end this coldly, completely, and on my terms. You should go stay at your mom's, I said, voice flat. She blinked. Excuse me. You heard me. Pack a bag. You're out tonight. She laughed sharp, bitter. You're kicking me out of my own house? No, I said. I'm removing a liar from mine. She didn't move. Didn't speak. Just stared at me like I'd stopped following the script. And maybe I had. Because I wasn't broken. I wasn't defeated. I was done. And that terrified her more than anything. You have no idea what you're walking into, she said finally. Her voice had changed, lower, darker. What's that supposed to mean? I asked. But she didn't answer. She just turned, walked down the hall, and slammed the bedroom door behind her. And that's when I knew this wasn't over. Not even close. Because whatever she meant by that last line, it wasn't just a threat. It was a warning that I didn't sleep that night. Not a second. She stayed locked in the bedroom. I didn't knock. I didn't ask questions. I knew the moment I opened my mouth again, it would spiral. I needed to think. I needed to stay ahead. That warning, you have no idea what you're walking into, kept looping in my head like a ticking bomb. The next morning, she was gone. No note. No text. No suitcase. Just the echo of her perfume still hanging in the hallway. I checked the bedroom, drawers open, closet half empty. She took enough to make it clear she wasn't coming back immediately. But she didn't take everything. Just enough to keep control hanging in the air. I expected a storm of calls or messages. Blame, deflection, manipulation. Instead, it was silent. Until 3:17 p.m., when I got a call from my HR department. I didn't even understand what was happening at first. My boss's voice was unusually clipped. Eric, there's been a complaint filed against you. From someone anonymous, but serious enough that we need to begin an internal review. Effective immediately, we're asking you to work remotely while we assess the situation. My blood turned to ice. What kind of complaint? He hesitated. It was interpersonal conduct. Nothing physical, but the language alleged is concerning. You'll be contacted with more information by our compliance officer. I couldn't speak. Couldn't even breathe properly. That was her. I knew it in my gut. She said it'd get messy, and this was her opening move. She was already trying to burn the ground. That night, I got the email. An official document accusing me of creating a hostile emotional environment at home that spilled into the workplace. It was worded vaguely but packed enough red flags to trigger a full investigation. I sat there, rereading it over and over, my hands shaking. She was trying to preempt the narrative, paint herself as the victim. If it got out that I had evidence of her affair, she wanted people to already believe I was the unstable one. It was sick, calculated, and it meant she had planned this, probably from the moment she saw the recorder was gone. I spent the next day combing through everything: texts, emails, documents. I needed to prepare. If she was going to turn this into a war, I wasn't walking into it blind. Then, that evening, her mother called. I didn't want to answer, but something told me I needed to. When I picked up, she sounded breathless, nervous, not like before. She's saying things, she said. Things to people in my family. That you threatened her. That you've been watching her every move. I haven't touched her, I said immediately. I haven't raised my voice. I haven't even spoken to her since she walked out. I believe you, her mother said. But this is what she does. She'll build a trap and then scream when you step into it. I felt like I was falling through layers I didn't even know existed. I need something from you, I said. What? The truth. All of it. Everything you've ever seen her do. I need to know exactly what I'm up against. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, she's done this before. I froze. Before what? I asked. Before you. With someone else. Same pattern. Lies, charm, emotional sabotage. But that man, he didn't make it out clean. She destroyed him. Financially. Socially. Accused him of things he never did. And the worst part. What? She smiled through all of it. I ended the call with a pit in my stomach and fire behind my eyes. She wasn't just cheating. She was erasing me. One quiet accusation at a time. Trying to make sure by the time the truth came out, no one would believe it. But I had one thing she didn't expect. The full recording. The hours she didn't know I had. The names she said. The timelines she gave. And the one person she talked about, the man she was seeing who was about to become the next critical piece in all of this. I wasn't just going to confront him. I was going to invite him over. And when he arrived, I was going to let her lies eat themselves alive. Right in front of both of us. I found his name buried deep in the recording. Not loud, not obvious, but clear enough. She slipped once, called him Tommy during a phone call. Her voice coded in that syrupy tone she used when she wanted something. Later, she mentioned his gym, and that was all I needed. 3 hours on social media. 2 burner accounts. I tracked him down. Real name, Thomas Keene. Personal trainer. Mid-30s. Lives 15 minutes away, drives a black Jeep Wrangler, posts gym selfies with motivational captions that sound like they're ripped from dollar store philosophy books. I watched his profile like a hawk for days. Cross-referenced timelines. He had no clue who I was. Perfect. I sent him a message from a clean account. Friendly. Professional. Said I wanted to talk to him about someone we both know. Told him it was important and that it would benefit him to hear me out. He agreed. That's the thing about guys like him, they don't think they can be touched. All muscle and no caution. He said he could swing by the next evening. I told him to come to the house. He didn't even ask why. The next day, I spent hours prepping. Not for a fight. For impact. I set the scene like I was directing a play. 2 chairs facing each other in the living room. Nothing between us but a small table with my phone on top. Ready to record. I had the audio cued. Not the worst parts, just enough. Enough to twist the knife. He showed up in a tight-fitting polo. Looking like he'd just stepped off a treadmill and hadn't showered. He was casual. Relaxed. Not a trace of guilt in his face. Arrogant to the core. You Eric? He asked, stepping in like we were about to share a beer. Sit, I said. I didn't offer him water. Didn't shake his hand. Just motioned to the chair. He hesitated. Then Saturday, all right. What's this about? I didn't answer. I hit play. The room filled with her voice. Laughing. Whispering. Telling him how I was a dead fish. How I wouldn't even notice if she disappeared for a weekend. She described the way they'd sneak around. The lies. The cover stories. She said his name. Said my name. She made it impossible for either of us to pretend. He listened for 15 seconds before trying to interrupt. Look, man, I don't know what she told. I raised a hand. He shut up. 30 seconds in, she called me a placeholder. Said she was just waiting for the right moment to end it clean. That Tommy's better in every way. I hit pause. He looked pale. Real pale. That kind of color people get when they realize they're not in control anymore. You didn't know? I asked. He shook his head slowly. I mean, she said you two were on a break. That it was complicated. I didn't know she was still. You didn't think to check. I'm not a homewrecker, man, you are, I said, cutting him off. But that's not why you're here. You're here because she's not just cheating. She's constructing a narrative. She's already filed complaints against me. Accusing me of being unstable. Controlling. She's setting the stage. And you? You're part of it. He looked away. Swallowed hard. I didn't sign up for this, he muttered. No, I said. But now you're in it. So here's what's going to happen. I leaned in. Calm. Measured. You're going to send her a message. Today. Ask to meet. Neutral place. I'll even give you the script. You'll say you're having second thoughts. That you want to talk about the future. Get her to come clean about everything. I want her to feel safe. Comfortable. Loose. He shook his head. Why would I help you? Because if you don't, I said, this recording goes to your clients, your gym, your sponsors, and anyone else who thinks you're a stand-up guy. He stared at me. I stared back. Silence. And then finally he nodded. I'll text her tonight. Good, I said. And when she responds, you forward me every word. As he got up to leave, I stopped him at the door. She ever tell you about my brother? I asked. He blinked. You're what? Never mind, I said. You'll hear about him soon enough. After he left, I sat down in the chair where he'd been. Still warm. And I smiled. Because now, the trap was set. He texted her the next morning. Just after 9 a.m. The message was crafted exactly as planned. Sweet, uncertain, just vulnerable enough to bait her into thinking she still had full control. Hey, I've been thinking a lot. Can we talk tonight? Just us. I want to figure out where this is going. She replied within minutes. Of course. I've been waiting for you to say that. Followed by a heart emoji. Of course. She suggested a small cafe just outside the city. Quiet, dim lighting, the kind of place you pick when you don't want to run into anyone you know. She was thinking damage control, seduction, maybe even trying to re-anchor herself to the one person who hadn't turned on her yet. That night, I sat in my car across the street, windows cracked, headphones in, phone wired to the tiny mic clipped beneath the collar of Tommy's jacket. He was nervous. I could hear it in the way he kept clearing his throat, tapping his fingers against the table. She arrived 5 minutes late. Lipstick, black coat, hair straightened. Not dressed like she was there to apologize. Dressed like she was still selling the fantasy. Hey, baby, she said. I closed my eyes for a second. The sound of her voice, like venom in honey. They made small talk. He played his part. Told her he was tired of the secrets. That he wanted to know the truth. That he'd been thinking maybe they could start fresh somewhere else. Alone. No more hiding. She leaned in. I could practically hear her smile through the audio. That's what I want too, she said. You have no idea how hard it's been, pretending to still love him. I can't even look at him half the time. He's like this ghost following me around. I clenched my jaw, but I kept listening. I'm trying to push him, she said. Just enough that he loses it. If he snaps, I have a record. That's all I need. One good blow-up and I walk away with everything. Everything. Not just the marriage. The house. The accounts. The reputation. She was waiting for me to break so she could bury me with it. And she was saying it all out loud. To the man who had just agreed to help me take her down. Tommy asked her about the HR complaint. She didn't even blink. I had to start laying the groundwork, she said. If he tries to make me look bad, I need people to already be suspicious of him. The victim card always wins. It's ugly, but it works. That was it. The full mask-off moment. Every word recorded. Every syllable captured. She was still talking when I stood up, crossed the street, and walked into the cafe. The moment her eyes met mine was pure cinematic poetry. She froze mid-sentence. Tommy leaned back. I sat down at the third seat, the one neither of them expected me to use. Hello, I said, placing my phone on the table. Screen still recording. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. I looked at her. Not with anger. Not even pain. Just precision. Every word you've said tonight has been recorded, I said. From the moment you walked in. Her face changed. Not to fear. Not to guilt. To calculation. You're recording me? She said. Loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Seriously. I smiled. I'm not the one who said, and I quote, just one good blow-up and I walk away with everything. That was you. Just now. Would you like to hear it played back? Her eyes flicked to Tommy. He looked down. Couldn't even face her. You set me up? She snapped at him. He didn't answer. She turned back to me, voice cold. This is pathetic. You think you're going to win some moral victory with this? I'll deny it. You think anyone's going to believe a manipulated recording over my word? I'll say you threatened me, that you coerced him. You think this is checkmate? This is just your version of the story. No, I said calmly. This is yours. In your own voice. On your own terms. And I'm not using this in court. Not yet. I'm using it with people. Our friends. Your work. My HR office. Your mother. Her face twisted. I leaned forward. You tried to burn me alive in the dark. Now I'm just turning on the lights. She stood up so fast her chair screeched against the tile. Eyes full of rage, but she had nowhere to aim it. You're going to regret this, she said. I didn't blink. I already did. Every single day I spent believing you. She stormed out. Tommy sat in silence, eyes wide, still processing what just happened. I didn't say a word to him, just picked up my phone and walked out. The storm had finally broken. She went quiet after that night. Not a word. No texts. No calls. Just silence, but not the kind that brings peace. This was the calm before a calculated, scorched earth storm. I knew it. I could feel her mind working behind the silence, spinning angles, planning her retaliation. People like her don't crumble. They adapt. The first ripple came the next morning. My sister called me, confused. She texted me, she said. Told me you've been unstable for months. That she's scared of you. Said you might try to hurt yourself. Or her. There it was. The fear narrative. Seated carefully in the minds of anyone who might offer me support. I asked what my sister said in return. I told her to drop the act. That you're the most level-headed person I know. That she should be ashamed. I thanked her. But the damage wasn't aimed at my sister. It was the ripple effect. She was prepping the world around me to expect chaos. To believe her version of it. And she was just getting started. That day, I got a call from a mutual friend. One of the few couples we both knew well. She reached out to us too, he said. Said she had to leave the house for her safety. That you've been emotionally volatile. We didn't know what to say. Honestly, it didn't sound like the you we know. But, you okay? I told him the truth. Every ugly, twisted detail. Played him a portion of the recording over the phone. He went quiet. Jesus Christ, he whispered. She said you were manipulating her. She said that because it worked before, I said. But this time I've got the receipts. Still, the smear campaign spread fast. Within 48 hours, I was fielding cautious texts from people I hadn't spoken to in weeks. People who'd suddenly heard things. My HR rep emailed me a follow-up asking to check in and make sure I was coping well. The subtext was clear. She was trying to make it look like I was cracking under pressure. But I wasn't cracking. I was rebuilding. I contacted a lawyer, one with experience in high-conflict divorces and, more importantly, reputational defense. We put a plan in motion. We began gathering every piece of evidence. The recordings, the text messages she'd sent others, her mother's statement which she willingly provided in writing detailing the years of manipulation she'd seen firsthand. The lawyer told me something I'll never forget. She's not just trying to win a divorce. She's trying to destroy your credibility socially and professionally before you even file. It's a preemptive strike, but we have time, and we have truth. I filed the papers that Friday, served them directly to the address she was staying at, her aunt's place, apparently. When the documents hit her hands, she messaged me for the first time since the cafe. Really? That's how you want to do this? No apology, no explanation. No denial. I didn't answer. That weekend, her mother called again. She's saying you hacked her phone, she told me. That you had someone install spyware. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Is that her angle now? She's getting desperate, her mom said. You hit a nerve. That's when I found out something even I didn't expect. She'd reached out to Michael, my brother. The one she used to be obsessed with, the one she allegedly never got over. She messaged him under the pretense of wanting to clear the air. Said she always admired his perspective, and that things with me were becoming difficult. She was trying to plant seeds with him too, digging around for anything she could twist. She hadn't contacted him in years. But now she wanted his attention. Michael didn't respond. He sent me screenshots. And that's when I made a decision. I would release everything, not in a public forum, not to strangers online, but to every single person she'd contacted. One-on-one. No drama, just the facts. The audio, the quotes, the timeline, the evidence. And when I did, I included one sentence. I'm not asking for sides. I'm just asking you to know the truth before you decide who you believe. The effect was immediate. 3 couples reached out to me in disbelief, apologizing for ever doubting me. 2 mutual friends sent her messages cutting ties, forwarding me her replies. Frantic, erratic, full of accusations that fell flat in the face of the proof. I wasn't winning a war. I was simply dragging the truth into the daylight. But I knew she wasn't done. No way. Because when you corner someone like her, when their mask is shattered, when the house of lies begins to collapse, what comes next is never rational. It started with a call from a number I didn't recognize. Mid-afternoon. I was driving back from my lawyer's office after finalizing the next stage of the divorce proceedings. I almost let it go to voicemail. Almost. Is this Eric? The voice was male. Calm, professional. Slightly cold. Yes. This is Officer Langford with the County Sheriff's Department. I'd like to ask you a few questions regarding a recent complaint filed against you. My chest tightened. What kind of complaint? There's been an allegation of harassment and stalking. Your wife filed a formal statement earlier today. Says you've been monitoring her, contacting people in her circle to damage her reputation and appearing at locations she's visited without cause. There it was. Her last card. She'd weaponized the justice system. I stayed calm, gave my name, confirmed my identity, and told him very clearly that I had documented proof to the contrary. That I'd never followed her anywhere, never harassed or stalked. That I had voice recordings, messages, and evidence of her orchestrating false claims against me. He didn't sound surprised. All right, he said. Then you won't mind if we meet for a quick conversation. Informal. Just to get your side. I agreed. 30 minutes later, I sat across from Langford in a bland, beige-walled room at the precinct. No handcuffs. No cell. Just questions, and every answer I gave lined up with evidence I handed him, neatly packaged in a folder. When I played him the recording, the one from the cafe, his expression didn't change. But he nodded slowly. She knew you were building a case, he said. So she flipped it. She tried to destroy me, I said. But I'm not playing defense anymore. He told me they'd be following up with her, that if any of her statements were proven false, it would open the door to perjury charges, false report penalties, serious stuff. He didn't promise anything, but he didn't sound like a man who believed her either. I walked out of that station heavier and lighter at the same time. Heavy with the weight of what she was still trying to do, but lighter knowing the system hadn't blindly swallowed her narrative. Still, I wasn't prepared for what happened next. That night, she came to the house, unannounced. I saw her through the peephole first. She looked different. No makeup, hair pulled back, a hoodie that didn't look like hers. For a split second, I wondered if this was it, her apology, her breaking point, some kind of closure. I opened the door, but didn't invite her in. She didn't ask. "I just needed to see you," she said. One last time. Her voice wasn't cold this time. It wasn't sweet either. It was empty. "What do you want?" I asked. "I wanted to tell you, you win." "Is that what you wanted to hear?" It sounded rehearsed. "This isn't about winning," I said. "It's about truth." "No," she said, tilting her head. "It's always about winning for people like you. You need to be the hero. You need to have the last word. And now you do. Everyone believes you. Congratulations." I stood still, silent. She stepped a little closer. "But just remember something. People forget facts, but they remember how they felt. You think this is over, but people will remember that you ruined me, even if they don't say it out loud. And that will follow you." I didn't respond. I just watched her. Then she said it. I almost called Michael. There it was. The final twist. The knife with a name. I thought maybe he'd come help me. Maybe he still cared. But then I realized he's just like you. You Wexler boys always think you're saving someone, but you're just waiting to watch them drown. My blood froze. The audacity, the cruelty, the delusion. "Get off my porch," I said quietly. She didn't move for a moment, just stared, then turned and walked away without another word. That was the last time I saw her in person. The fallout continued for days. Her complaint was quietly withdrawn. No charges, no statement, just silence, like she never filed it at all. But she didn't apologize. She didn't reach out. She just vanished. Until the letter, a single envelope, no return address, slid under my door 2 weeks later. Inside, one sentence written in her handwriting. "You were always playing a game I designed." No name, no signature, just one final attempt to twist reality into her shape. But it didn't work. Rebuilding sounds simple. It isn't. People love the idea of clean slates, of fresh starts. But no one tells you how loud the silence is after the storm ends. How every quiet moment starts to feel like an echo of the war you just survived. The house felt bigger without her. Not cleaner, emptier. Like every room still remembered her voice, her scent, her absence. I boxed up the remnants, her books, her clothes, the framed photos she didn't bother taking. I didn't smash them. Didn't burn anything. That's the thing about pain. The moment you try to destroy the proof, you also risk erasing the lessons. I left a single photo on my desk, one of us in Paris. Not because I missed her, but because I wanted to remind myself what love looks like when it's poisoned from the inside and still manages to smile for the camera. I went back to work a week later. HR had already been briefed. The false complaint was retracted, the review closed without a mark. A few coworkers looked at me differently. Not with suspicion, just with that weird, quiet sympathy people show when they're not sure what you're allowed to talk about. One of them, Brandon, came to my office after hours. Closed the door. Sat down without asking. "She tried to reach out to me, he said. Told me to keep an eye on you. Said you were spiraling." I didn't flinch. He nodded at the look on my face. But I figured, if someone really spirals, they don't do it quietly. That meant more than I let on. I started sleeping better, eating better. I deleted all the recordings. After my lawyer confirmed everything was documented and secured. I didn't need to hear her voice anymore. I wasn't trying to prove anything to anyone now. The proof had done its job. The story had landed. The truth had legs. But then came the fallout I wasn't prepared for. Michael called. It had been almost a year since we spoke properly. Life got in the way. He lived states away, married, 2 kids. But when he called, there was no small talk. Just a deep, tired exhale on the other end. She messaged me again, he said. I felt my stomach twist. When? 2 days ago. From a different account. Said she wanted to clear the air. Said she thought I deserved to know the real version of things. I didn't speak. She tried to tell me that you manipulated the narrative. That she was the victim. That you doctored recordings. He paused. But I know her. I knew her. Back then. And I know you. I finally breathed. She's still trying to build a version of the story that makes sense to her, he said. She can't accept that people saw through it. She needs control even if it means rewriting the ending. We didn't talk long after that. But it left me rattled in a strange way, not scared. Just sad. Because the truth is, she wasn't just a liar. She was a storyteller. A dangerous one. The kind who believed that if she told her version often enough, someone, somewhere, would buy it. And maybe someone will. But it won't be me. Not anymore. I started therapy. Not because I felt broken, but because I knew I needed to process the pieces. Figure out what blind spots let her in. What made me ignore the signs. Therapy isn't about answers, it's about understanding your own questions. I began writing again. Not stories. Not posts. Just fragments. Thoughts. Every morning before work, I'd sit with my coffee and scrawl down one memory from the relationship. Not to mourn it, but to extract the lesson. She didn't just lie to me. She trained me to question my reality. Love that feels like performance isn't love. It's theater. You don't win by exposing them. You win when you no longer need to. I stopped checking her socials. Stopped asking mutual friends if they'd heard from her. I didn't care who she was fooling next. That part of my life was over. I thought about reaching out to the man she cheated with, Tommy, just once, to ask if he'd learned anything from the whole mess. But I didn't. It wasn't my responsibility to help him process what she did. It was enough that he helped expose her. That was his role. And the curtain had closed. But something strange happened last week. I ran into someone at a bookstore, an ex-friend of hers. Someone she'd cut off years ago for being too critical. She recognized me, came over, smiled carefully. I heard what happened, she said. And I just wanted to say she did the same thing to my cousin. Years ago. It almost ruined him. She paused. You're not the only one. You're just the first to tell the whole story. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't just about me. This was about every person who's ever doubted their own instincts because someone else was skilled at lying with a straight face. This is the part where I thought I'd feel triumphant. Liberated. Like the final credits should roll with some orchestral swell, leaving me framed in the glow of hard-won justice. But healing doesn't come with applause. It comes in silence. In the way I now breathe without bracing. In the quiet mornings that don't start with dread. In walking into my own home and not feeling like I'm standing in someone else's performance. The legal process is moving. Slowly. My lawyer's confident we've stacked enough evidence to not just dissolve the marriage cleanly, but protect everything she tried to twist against me. But I've stopped obsessing over outcomes. Truthfully, I stopped the moment I looked in the mirror and no longer saw a version of myself shaped by her. Because she was never just a betrayal. She was a blueprint of everything I needed to unlearn. She taught me how charm can be venom. How fake affection can be a leash. How manipulation doesn't always scream, it often whispers sweet nothings. But more importantly, she showed me the places inside me that didn't yet know how to say no. I used to think boundaries were rude. That doubt was disloyal. That forgiveness meant folding yourself smaller each time until the shape of your love looked more like surrender. That's what she wanted. That's what she counted on. But now I say no. Loudly. Clearly. Without apology. I've rebuilt my space, literally. Sold the bedroom furniture. Painted the walls. Got rid of the bed where I used to lie awake wondering what lie she was crafting next. I replaced it with something new, not expensive, not extravagant, just mine. I see people now. I go out. I don't look over my shoulder or check who's watching. My phone doesn't buzz with half-lies and manipulations. My nights don't end in arguments or icy silence. They end in peace. And yeah, I still carry the scars. I still flinch a little when someone laughs the way she used to. Still get that jolt when I hear someone say, trust me too easily. But scars are just proof you healed. You want to know what I learned from all this? Here it is. If something feels off, listen. Even if it doesn't come with proof. Even if it's just a hunch. We spend so much time trying to be reasonable, trying not to be the jealous husband, the paranoid friend, the overthinking partner. But trust doesn't mean ignoring your instincts. It means giving yourself permission to protect your own clarity. And for anyone who's sitting where I sat, second-guessing yourself, questioning your sanity while someone lies to your face and smiles like they mean it, you are not crazy. You are not overreacting. You are not the problem. You're just standing in the blast radius of someone who has made deception their native language. And you're allowed to walk away even if you don't have proof yet. Even if it's messy. Even if it means walking alone. Because walking alone is better than walking beside someone who would set your world on fire and ask why you're sweating. This story started with a whisper, a gut feeling. A silent alarm. I ignored it for too long. But I heard it eventually. And that whisper? It saved my life. This is the end of the story she wrote. And the beginning of the one I'm writing next.